So I think it's fair to bring this up, isn't it? Right now, Dylan Larkin is the captain of the Detroit Red Wings. But I don't think that's going to last much longer. Either Larkin is going to exit the team because he is getting traded, or if he sticks around for a while, maybe there's a possibility that he gets that captaincy stripped. We already made one video talking about the idea of Moritz Seider upgrading that A to a C and whether or not it's the right move. Based off the comment section of our previous discussion, it seems like a lot of folks are pretty into the idea of Moritz Seider taking that captaincy away from Dylan Larkin. Obviously, it's not like Seider would be walking up to Larkin and ripping that C off of the jersey himself. It would be probably a more formal transition of leadership. But what if there was another candidate that challenged for that C? What if the cat got the C? Ladies and gentlemen, could Alex DeBrincat actually be a reasonable, or even preferable, captaincy target for the Detroit Red Wings? The reason we are asking is because of this post made by Dylan is Bored on the Detroit Red Wings subreddit. They said yesterday, give DeBrincat the captaincy if he extends. Here's my argument to give Alex DeBrincat the C. If he signs an 8-year contract, then first, he is committing his entire prime to a Wings team that won't contend. That's real commitment. Secondly, he forced his way to the Detroit Red Wings because he actually wants to play here. He would also show that by signing that extension. Third, he shows up every single game and works like a dog, regardless of how the score sheet is going. Fourth, he fights for his teammates and for himself. And I mean, he actually drops the gloves, not the scrum crap. There have been so many slumps over the last few seasons where the only player showing up to play hockey was DeBrincat. And in those times, he's dropping the gloves. That's the kind of veteran leader the kids need. If the team culture at all resembled how DeBrincat acts on the ice, then it would be miles better. Ideally, DeBrincat is the oldest guy on the team by the time the next contract is over. There isn't even going to be a player with more experience to lead the team. And then finally, it would be really good for Seider's development as a player if he could wait 8 years to be captain. Now, waiting 8 years, eh? I mean, Seider was drafted in 2019, didn't play until a few years later. Yeah, I guess if Alex DeBrincat sticks around for the long haul, that would essentially be giving Mo Seider an even longer time period of not having that captaincy. I feel like the C is destined for Mo Seider at some point in his career, but obviously, this post by Dylan is Bored is the outlier opinion. Let's go out there and read some of the comments on how Red Wings fans feel about DeBrincat getting the C. Chris Stratty says, nope, Seider's got to get the C, DeBrincat gets an A, and Raymond gets an A. This is the only way, Techie Bean Counter said. Mo not having the C would be criminal and as stupid as originally putting it on Dylan Larkin. A reply says, why? I'm not arguing Mo as a reasonable choice, but if DeBrincat extends, I don't see giving him the C as criminal or stupid. He has all of Mo's traits on the ice and is probably a more consistently intense player. He's more mature with experience across 3 teams. He appears to lead now as much as Mo does. As an aside, and to start another debate, I wouldn't give an A to Raymond based off what I've seen so far. Now, I do see where these comments are coming from. It's not like DeBrincat would be a bad choice, and I think that's the basis of what these conversations are getting at here. But another reply goes out there and says, I couldn't really care less if they give it to Cat, but I see Mo as a younger player with the same leadership qualities who can actually rebuild this team from the ground up, and giving him the C gives him the skin in the game I think he needs. Yes, DeBrincat could mold him into a captain later down the road, but I see no point in that and I feel he is more ready to take that step. Again, I'm fine either way, though, as both players have many of the same qualities. Really? Fine either way? But just 2 comments ago you said that it'd be stupid. Okay, alright, let's not try to get onto one commenter's behind. I also think Cat is exactly the type of player that the Red Wings need to lift up as an example to the young kids. He plays hard every shift, he is great defensively despite his size, and he sticks up for his teammates whenever he can. I understand people's love for Seider, but Cat is my pick. Seider's still young with lots to learn. He'll get his chance as well. The age and experience is a factor that a lot of us are not realizing. DeBrincat in his late 20s with nearly double the seasons as Seider. Both of them have the makings of a captain, and both would be great picks, but as others have stated, making Cat the captain allows Seider to solely focus on improving his game. And then there's another reply that says if DeBrincat signs an extension, then yeah, he'd be a great C. It makes sense having a veteran as a C, especially after the Larkin fiasco. A little veteran stability isn't a bad thing. Then, when DeBrincat retires, transition the C to Mo. It doesn't even have to be a super long extension for DeBrincat either. I'd say any extension is fine. A captain doesn't have to be a lifer, but they should be here for a few years, and that would give Mo more time to focus on developing his on-ice game before having to carry the responsibilities of the captaincy. Now, just for a little history lesson here, DeBrincat, while it's true he has played with a number of really interesting names over the past few years in Detroit, you also have to think about the players that he was with in other parts of his hockey playing career. In Ottawa, the one and only season that he had, of course, he was playing with Brady Tkachuk, which I'm not going to say is like the pinnacle of leadership at the moment, but you kind of get what I'm saying here. In Chicago, he was with Taves and Patrick Kane, 2 guys that headlined a franchise that was so successful. Unfortunately, their best days were right before Alex DeBrincat actually debuted. And then, DeBrincat's first season in the OHL was alongside a really notable name that will go down as arguably the best player of our generation, in Dylan Strome. So obviously, DeBrincat had some pretty interesting teammates here too. Connor McDavid, that's who it was. Right. How could I mix that up? Silly me, eh? But all's this to say is Alex DeBrincat has had to fight from the ground up throughout multiple years of development and tribulation, from being a small dude, 5'8", drafted in the 2nd round because he was so small, despite the fact that he was one of the most productive players in the OHL, to inevitably becoming a multi-time 40-goal player. This is a guy who has scored more goals in his best seasons than Dylan Larkin has. And the fact that he is also coming from a Michigan background gives a little bit more credence to the idea that he could be a leader suited for that captaincy. That isn't to shade Moritz Seider, it's just DeBrincat is a little bit older. Although, not by much now that I think about it. Seider's 25, DeBrincat is 28. 3 seasons actually does do a lot for a player, especially when you're at the level that DeBrincat is at. Either way, I do think it's a reasonable debate to have at this point. I'd say that most people do feel that Seider is the inevitable choice, but the fact that you can go out there and make a legitimate case for DeBrincat just goes to show that there are multiple candidates that are probably worth the shot. Is Moritz Seider a joke to you? This reply said. He wouldn't be a bad choice, but Cat would be a great choice, and Mo can focus on becoming the best defenseman in the entire world. Larkin got the captaincy too young. I think Mo seems like a more mature person than your typical guy his age, but I bet he would even agree it'd be better for his development as a player if he didn't have that responsibility just yet. This comment is downvoted a ton, and a reply says, I got no idea why you're being downvoted. People don't have to agree, but it's hard to argue Cat wouldn't make a great captain. He stands up for his teammates and plays with so much passion. Mo could be a great captain, no doubt, but it's not ridiculous to envision Cat taking the C. I'll take the downvotes with you, LOL. So you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Alex DeBrincat or Mo Seider, who is more fitting for the captaincy now and in the long term, assuming Dylan Larkin either gets traded or that captaincy gets taken away from him at some point this upcoming year? Who would you rather see as the next captain of the Detroit Red Wings? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.